Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Livingston.
Welcome to the Rangers Journal. Evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Rangers Journal. It's Ross here. You have joined us tonight with a full cast. We're going to get round and say hi to everyone, but just a bit of an overview of what we're going to be getting through tonight. I think it's safe to say we're all still a bit raw, feeling that one from yesterday still. Certainly feels a lot worse than a draw and getting a point on the board in what could be a really tight title run-in, which we will come on to. We're going to talk a bit about the game, and then we're going to talk a bit about this title run-in. Have we got the ammunition and the players to make it happen, or will we fall short as we've done many times before in recent memory? Certainly. So, look, we're going to get round the panel here and say hi. First of all, Craig, how are you keeping, pal?
Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. Yeah, a bit scunnered with that yesterday, but we'll get on to that. But overall, I'm doing all right. Good,
man. Good to have you on. It was a tough one yesterday. It really was. I think it stuck with us. Memories of years gone by and recent failures definitely put salt in the wound. And we've got Frankie from the other side of the world. Welcome to the pod, pal. How are you?
I'm not too bad, gentlemen. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Good, man. Did you manage to catch the game yesterday? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I think it kicked off 10 o'clock my time, so that's quite the thing. Like the European games are 3 a.m, and sometimes it's, it's not as easy.
Yeah, fair enough. Good on you. And Scott, how are you, pal?
Yep, not bad, I guess, all things considered. Like you say, a bit of a tough one yesterday. Just wish I was here to talk to you boys about a positive result, and we could have been 1 point behind Hearts. But there you go. What can you do? We move on.
It's a real tricky one, isn't it? I think when you're 2-0 down, if someone said you'll come away with a point, I think you'd have probably bitten the hand off and said, you know what, it doesn't look like this goal's coming today, because the keeper was on absolute fire, wasn't he? But as it is now, it feels like it was points dropped when you look back on it. Scott, I'm going to stick with you actually, and get your take on the starting lineup that was that we had. Look, we've got our rankings and our scores there that the Rangers Journal team have pulled together. That was the starting lineup, Scott. It seems like a fairly settled team, apart from maybe 1 or 2 changes. Obviously, this time rules seem to move away from the 4-4-2 or the 2 centre forwards that we've been seeing. Was there something more that Rule could have done to have unlocked that defence quicker?
When I seen that team yesterday, I was reasonably happy, to be honest with you. A little bit surprised that we've seen Gassama coming back in, but like you say, if he's kind of dropped from the 2 up top, with Nadiri having a bit of a niggle and I think he only trained once last week, I can't understand why he's had to kind of switch the formation around a little bit. But I don't really think there was much difference that I would have made, or a different team that I would have picked anyway, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Jerry Gassama. I've never really hidden that. I thought he was poor again yesterday, but it was one of those ones where we created enough chances to win 3 games of football yesterday. And like you say, the goalkeeper was an absolute fire. But from that starting 11, I don't think there's much of it that changed. Obviously, we knew that Sterling wasn't going to be in, even if he didn't have a niggle. The likelihood of him playing on a plastic pitch was slim to none anyway. I don't think there was much different. I think that team basically picks itself, if I'm honest with you, Ross.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Frankie, I'll come to you as well there. Look, he's been tinkering, trying to find his best team, hasn't he? I think that's safe to say. He's been trying to look at the opponent and set his team up that's really relevant and purposeful to unlock the team. Was there anyone you would have changed in that? I know Scott mentioned Gassama there.
Let's see. With Gassama, do you know what? Right, I was lying through there, and it was the 31st minute, and I thought to myself, is Gassama actually playing? I thought that he'd been dropped and I hadn't picked up on it. You know what I mean? I thought, wait a minute, Gassama's not playing. Did he pull a hamstring in the warm up or something like that?
Yeah.
And it was at that moment he actually appeared in the game. But the thing is, I find it hard to criticise Danny because it's not his team. And what I think we're all well aware of, the 3 or 4 days before the game starts, he gets the kids or under 21s or whatever it is nowadays to play the same formation. And I believe if you're playing a team bottom of the league, our reserves should beat them if you're playing for Rangers. But then to contradict myself, it's like it's a difficult one. And I know, again, to kind of contradict myself. I think it was one of those games. That goalkeeper was out of this world. I'd sign him if he's doing that every week, And it's also the chap that plays for them. I think he's been there 11 years. He's bald-headed. Remember, he had that stop. He fell over and hooked it off the line. And I know it sounds like a cop-out, but it was one of those games. But I find it hard to struggle to, is it criticise the right word? Yeah. But I'm still in the train of thought. If Danny picks it, I trust him. But Gasper, he is an impact player. On his day, he's as good as anyone, but his games are few and far between.
Yeah. Look, I think that it's a consistent theme of recent times. Gassama has not been doing what he does best, which is quite simply running at players, committing defenders, and making them make mistakes. That's what he is best at. Craig, we saw Chimiti score 3 wonderful goals last week, full of confidence going into this. Was he given the right ammunition to unlock that defence? Because I can't think there was any chances that were created for him.
No, there wasn't. I personally, I would have stuck with the shape. I know Miofsky isn't everyone's cup of tea. I know he hasn't really kicked on. He certainly hasn't scored the goals he scored for Aberdeen. But I would have stuck with the same shape with the two strikers. I think that is what is pivotal for Rangers. If Nadiri's injured and he's not trained, then he can't play. Obviously, he was fit enough for the bench, and actually looked like he made a bit of a difference when he came on as well. But if he's not fit to start, fine. But you've got another striker sat on the bench. Keep the same shape. Allow Olsen and Moore to have that freedom that they had against Hearts, playing the 2 10s or 2 wingers, whatever you want to call it, and give Chukwani and Raskin that extra help in the middle of the park. Because I thought they struggled yesterday. I thought they struggled to get into the game, the two of them. But I would have kept the shape the same, even if the personnel isn't exactly the strongest. But no, Chimiti wasn't. There wasn't enough chances created for Chimiti. That is fair. That is a fair point to say. Chimiti ended up dropping back a lot to receive the ball, kind of doing those things that you kind of don't want a solo striker to do, because once he drops, there's no one else up there. But there wasn't enough creativity behind them. But I would say that's because the shape of the team was changed.
Yeah, I think it's a fair comment. And look, as I said at the start, Rule is trying to firstly get the best out of his players, but also trying to use a system that will unlock the relevant opponent he's playing. Does he, Scott, need to now start thinking, okay, we've got 10 games left, 30 points to play for. Does he now need to say, I'm going to pick my best 11? And do you know what? If that makes me look daft by having to leave Asgard, who I've backed multiple times, or if I have to leave Gassama on the bench, who I've backed multiple times, and publicly kind of given plaudits to and wanted to remain. Does he need to do that? Is that what a sort of league-winning manager has to do, and just pick his best team?
That's what any manager needs to do. It's whether you're going for a title or whether you're trying to survive in the Premier League, you need to play your best team. Simple as that. I know that he's obviously got this previous relationship with Gassama for Sheffield Wednesday, but ironically, Gassama has been downhill since Danny Rose came in the building. He's not really kicked on from the start of the season when he kind of promised so much. He needs to play his strongest 11. He absolutely needs to. There's no other way around it. If Rangers have aspirations on winning the title, then the strongest 11 needs to go out every single week. It's as simple as that. We're fortunate in having a manager like Danny Rose, who is very reactive to change within a game as well. We've seen it umpteen times this season, and a lot of the times it's worked for us. If he puts his strongest team out and he sees it's not working in certain ways, he has the skills available to himself to change things around and to utilise the guys who are on the bench to come onto the park and actually make a difference. It's a squad game. Like you say, there's a lot of points still to play for. There's a lot of games still to be played this season. He's going to need to utilise that squad. But to start the game, you need to start the game with your strongest 11. Simple as that. That's it.
Yeah. Fair comment, Scott. For those joining us, thank you very much. Welcome to the Rangers Journal. This is great to have you on board tonight. Please do get some questions and thoughts and feedback into the chat, and we'll come to it and pose these questions to this great panel we've got. Frankie, I've got a question for you. You strike me as a traditionalist, and I mean that in a positive way. Someone that you mentioned there before about you think the reserves could beat them. Would you have played 2 up top? Would you have played, sacrificed a defender and played with maybe 3 across the front, like we kind of ended the game? Where do you think we should have set up?
Like you said, Ross said, I'd have put 3 up front. Why not? But the thing is, as a start there, one of the Doug said there, we had 31 shots on it. I think we're discrediting Livingston a bit here. Their keeper had a once in a career game the other night. And to defend Big Jamita, there wasn't the service there for him, but I would have went for it. Yeah, I think Danny, and I don't want to sound argumentative. Danny did play his strongest 11. Why wouldn't he? He thought that was the best 11 football players that would beat Livingston. He's not going to do anything but. And to go back to the Motherwell game, people say, "Oh, don't believe sports scientists." And somebody quoted in my page, "Oh, look, if sports science, it was along the lines of, Andy Gorham and all that took injections." Exactly. If Andy Gorham was sports scientist back then, he wouldn't be playing now. He'd have a longer career. That's football nowadays. And I'm like you said, I'm kind of old fart. I'm not saying I'm in the Ghislaine Sands person because that was terrific in reality. But it does come down to the buck stops here in both instances. Did he get it wrong the other night? Probably. But at the same time, we should still beat a team that hadn't won a game since last. But how many games was it ago?
Well, this the second time they've won a home game this season.
There we go.
Or that we're on course for the second time. No, I hear you, and I think you're right to call out the keeper, and you know what, credibly so. He was their player of the year last season, I think, and got in the championship team of the year last year. A very, very high quality player. Yeah, he was brilliant. He was really good, and maybe someone we should be, keeping an eye on in the future. Who knows?
That as well. I would be looking at saying, wait a minute here. I think he's not the tallest, I don't think, but it doesn't matter. Neither was Gorham.
No, true. I wanted to come to you, Craig, and just ask a question on the defence. We're going to come on to the stats a bit and probably some of the key talking points in the game. So do get your thoughts and comments in the chat, team. I want to just pick your brains on kind of the spine of the team and more so the defence. I'm just going to bring this back up. Thanks to Doug for pulling this slide together. It really is cracking to have everything on one page. And I wanted to ask you in particular, Craig, about Fernandes and Suter. Suter's just signed a 3.5-year deal with an option to extend. Fernandes seems to have probably come into the team by necessity more than by quality, but then he has established himself. He has had good performances and been attacking at both ends. I want to just hear your thoughts on their performance yesterday.
I thought they struggled. Certainly playing out from the back, I thought it was quite slow. I thought it was quite lethargic and predictable. Livingston when Rangers have got the ball, Livingston are playing 2 banks of 5 almost. So it's quite difficult to play through them. Defensively, my thoughts defensively come from, we conceded 2 goals from 2 set pieces. The lineup for the first goal, now there's not much. Once the ball drops at the guy's foot and he connects with it as well as he does, there's not an awful lot you can do about it. Certainly can't blame the goalkeeper because of the pace it's going at. But the marking, and this is why I've kind of played down or not really played up my Scott Fry too much and his sort of thing is with the set pieces, is because I still think Rangers look quite susceptible from defending set pieces, and it was on show yesterday. I think he sets up with a zonal marking. Again, you could put this to Fernandes and Suter. I don't think they've got the strongest partnership yet. Probably will come in time. Fernandes is quite young. Suter's just got his new contract, so there's a good chance that could be the partnership to go with. So it could come down to the players not implementing it properly. But zonal marking for me is it grinds my gears. I don't like it. I'd rather you just pick the men up, especially centre half who scores the first goal. Second goal, the players get drawn to the ball and they don't see the guy out wide who then takes a touch and scores. Zonal marking from set pieces really does my head in. Just pick the men up and stay with them. You don't even need to win the ball. All you need to do is stay with them and put them off so that they don't get a clean connection on it. Zonal marking really doesn't do it for me. And we've always done it, even with a set piece coach. And it's why I've not really been in the same train of really hyping him up, because I don't like it.
Yeah, I think with Fry, he initially, I was listening to an interview with him. He initially was just the defensive coach, I think, and then moved into corners and then moved into attacking corners. But I think you're right. I think what Rangers are trying to do is a hybrid where it's sort of semi-zonal, but there's maybe 2 or 3 players that will pick up runners, which feels very weird and overcomplicated, especially when you're chopping and changing the defense as we have been doing. You know, that takes up a bit of mental capacity to when you're thinking reaction times, etc. Scott, I wanted to come on to ask you about John Souttar in particular. For me, I'll give you my take. I thought he was extremely poor and probably has been for about 2 or 3 weeks now. I think he's been really, really uncharacteristically poor. I thought his reading of the game yesterday was terrible, obviously on a plastic pitch, but at the same time, the amount of times he wasn't reading the bounce of the ball correctly, and you could see he was going to either clatter the player as he did or kind of miss the tackle. Where was your head at with Souttar, Scott?
I can't really disagree with anything you said, to be honest with you. I've never really been a great John Souttar fan. Ever since he came into Rangers, obviously, I mean, he's had some really good games, don't get me wrong. He scored some important goals as well for us. I don't want to go two-footed into the guy or anything like that, but yesterday was poor. Gives away really slack free kicks, really difficult to read the game. He even tried to judge the bounce of the ball on the pitch. It found it difficult for him yesterday. You're kind of relying upon John Souttar to have a good game. With Manny Fernandes being as inexperienced as he actually is, you're kind of relying upon John Souttar to almost kind of talk him through these games and kind of coach him through and sort of make sure his head doesn't go down. But it's kind of the opposite. It's almost as if Manny's kind of taken up the mantle of that just now. And Souttar he was poor yesterday. I mean, the free kick for to give away the free kick for Livingston's first goal was criminal. There's absolutely no need for that at all. It's just such a silly free kick, the kind of free kick that you would see school kids get away on a Sunday afternoon up your local park. It's just, it was so daft. But yeah, he's the kind of player that you really don't want to come off form when we're coming into such a pivotal part of the season. So he's going to have a word with himself and give himself a good shake, because we're going to need him. Otherwise, he might find himself dropped for Nasser Jiga, which I don't think will happen for the Old Firm game. But I mean, there's nothing for his performance yesterday to indicate that he's ready to go ahead toe-to-toe in such an important game on Sunday.
Completely agree. And actually, I've watched the highlights again a few times. I watched them again today. And Souttar gives away 2 free kicks. One is for the first goal, where he goes with a header, misses the ball completely, hits the player, and they whip the ball in. The second one is the player's taking him out wide. And he's taken Souttar for a run out wide, and Souttar clips the player. And it results in a free kick, comes in, bang, and they slip the ball down and it's a goal. Both come from his poor decision making. Frankie, look, we haven't been blessed with many great centre backs. I think probably in his heyday, Connor Goldson was one of them. I think he was a very good defender. I think Leon Balogun was a good defender. Would you say John Souttar's in that bracket, or do you think he's still got a lot to prove in a blue jersey?
Okay, it's quite simple. How long has John Souttar been there? 3 years now? 2 years?
I don't know, actually. Good question. I think probably more than 3.
Right, it came out last week how much he was paid. He's one of the lowest paid players at Rangers. What does that tell you? You know, I mean, his agent hasn't been able to get a better deal with him. I think he's in about $4,000 a week, it said. Listen, for me and you, the working man, that's a lot of money. But there's guys at Ibrox, I believe, Tav's in $35,000 a week. The goalie's in $35,000. What does that tell you? That means Rangers didn't value him. You know, I don't know what he's going to get a new contract, I believe, and that'll probably, let's say he doubles, let's say he gets to 10,000 a week, which again, for the working man's a huge amount of money. That tells you all you need to do. That's how much Rangers and the coaches and the players, the powers that be value him. I've never been subtle with him, but the thing is, he has an odd good game, and against Celtic the other week, he was great, because do you know what he did? See, when the ball was about, it was the old-fashioned big toe, get it into Rose Ed. You know, there was no fanciness, just Rose Ed. It's when he thinks he's back Beckenbauer or Bobby Moore. You know, just see if he just did the simple things, and in the end, he's crap. But again, I'll come back to, he was one of the lowest paid players at the team. That tells you all what Rangers valued him at. Because if he was great, Rangers would have signed him up 18 months ago and said, "There's 3 times your wages." I'm quite uncomfortable saying that, but that's the way I look at it.
It's an interesting take on it. I guess when I think of John Suter, I think of him as kind of a last-ditch tackle kind of defender. Blood and thunder in the box, putting his body on the line. I don't know if I see him as and he does it well, to be fair. But yeah, is he the right player to take us into the next chapter where we want to be looking at, this resale value and player trading,
but there's loads of players won't be here next year. We've got something we need to go back to. This isn't a team that's going to be there in 2 years' time. There's a loanee players and all that. I think we need to can remember this isn't Danny's team. This is a disaster, not disaster, but this is a team that we need to remember where we are. And Danny's got these players playing above where they should be. We were relegation candidates in October, technically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I completely hear you. And look, I think things will change in the summer. I just hope. I just hope Danny Rule's still here in the summer. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, I don't want to open that can of worms. Look, I'm going to just talk one last little round of questions here on the game. And look, I'm going to get on to. We all know there was a lot of chances. We all know that we had a lot of modern day football, a high XG. We should have won that game really 3 or 4-0. I think, in my personal opinion, it was a unbelievable goalkeeping performance, unbelievable defensive performance by Livy, and probably a once in 15 games that happens against a lower team. That's a real tough one to take, but I think there was good character shown to get it back, and arguably, as I come on to now, we should have had a penalty. So Craig, look, I want to get your thoughts on this at the end, and we'll run around everything because it's a really interesting situation. I don't think it's black and white. But let's hear your thoughts on it. I want you to talk me through what happens.
So I don't know if I'm going to upset people here, but I don't think Rangers should get a penalty. I think it's a free kick. I think the initial contact is made outside the box before the line, not on the line, because on the line would be in. It's the contact is made outside the box, but it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. It's a red card and it's a free kick, in my opinion. How the referee doesn't give a foul at all to begin with, I've got no idea. How, for some reason, that means VAR can't get involved, which is what I heard. It's just ridiculous, because if it's a red card, they can definitely get involved. And it is a red card, because he's swinging his foot to shoot as he gets taken down. So it has to be a goal-scoring opportunity. Motherwell had a player sent off against Aberdeen in the Cup the other week for denying a goal-scoring opportunity in the centre circle. So how is a guy swinging his foot at the ball at the edge of the box not denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity? It's not a penalty. It's not a tug of the jersey thing where if they go into the box, it can be given. He's taken them out from behind or from the side, outside the box. Red card, free kick, is my opinion.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Frankie, I'm keen to get your thoughts here. I mean, look, we're watching it at home. The momentum is coming our way. Arguably, this is an absolute lifeline for Livingston. Not only do they not get a penalty nor a red card, the game is stopped for 4 minutes, 3 minutes whilst they check it, and the momentum of the phase of play is gone. So they actually end up with, Cammy Kerr there slides for the ball, arguably here, right? He slides for the ball. He is more willing to potentially take a red card, potentially take a penalty than let the player shoot. Surely that suggests that it's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, as Craig mentioned there, Frankie.
Absolutely. Say that tackle's in the centre circle. There we go. But as somebody said, I think Boyd said it wasn't a penalty, but I didn't even hands up. I didn't know this law. But if you make the foul just outside the box and it carries on into the box, it's a foul. But the rule about the VR can't enter get in the way if it's outside the box. Right? I've read so many things like that, but the be on end of that was a foul. Simple as that. Again, if it was the left back position, the right back position, the centre circle, that's a foul. It's as simple as that. But for me, like, I'm not the best person to ask in this because Moldman brought me up, and if you need to complain about the refs, you're taking away from your own problem. We've got 89 other minutes to score more goals than the other team on paper, but that was a foul. Whatever it was a foul. Whether it was a red card, yellow card, or a penalty, that was a foul.
And why is he not giving it, Frankie? Do you think the referee's afraid to give that in the moment because it's the spotlight of the big teams in Glasgow getting decisions?
I don't know. I don't go with this. It's corrupt, and it's because if the referee's corrupt, that means it's organised crime and it affects betting. You've got to remember that. That's what it is. If it was corruption, Bet365s would be suing the backside off them. That I might sound dramatic there, but that's the way I look at it. I just think the referees are crap. It's as simple as that. I don't mean to. I think they're just shite. Sorry for swearing. They're just crap at their job. And you've got to remember, they're not full time. These are part time. They've got other jobs, whether it's a brickie, a lawyer, or that. Whereas in England, most of the other, we're not a big league. No matter what we try to say, we're not a big league. But everywhere else around the world, they're full time. They're not. I just think they're crap at their job. But I think VAR across the board, whether it's Italy, England, or that, VAR will sort this out for me.
Yeah.
But the thing is about VAR, it's not going away. There's no chance in this world FIFA, UEFA are going to say, let's scrap VAR. It's here to stay. It just needs to be refined.
Yeah. Scott, what's your take, firstly, on the incident, and then secondly, I guess, on the refs in Scotland?
I don't even want to get involved in it.
Come on, you're involved now. Let it out.
It's a horrible thing because obviously, like Craig says, the first contact is outside the box. The second one appears to bring him down, which is inside the box. I've seen it probably 60 or 70 times. Spoke about it all day and worked the day with various different guys who know I'm on a podcast and want to come and talk to me about it. And for me, I'm you know what, I'm going to upset people. I'm going to say it's not a penalty because it's the initial contact is outside the box, and whether the main contact comes inside the box, Mikey Moore is obviously off balance at that point in time. How the referee cannot give anything is absolutely beyond me. I was staggered by that yesterday. I could not quite believe what I was seeing. There's two options in that situation for the referee and for the VAR team, and that's a penalty to Rangers and a red card. A free kick to Rangers and a red card, and a penalty to Rangers and maybe a yellow card. The third option of a bounce ball to Livingston should never have even been on the table. I have no idea how they've even got to that situation. I just don't understand this. I don't think there's any such thing as corruption when it comes to the referees in here in this country. They're just all really poor. There's such a poor standard of refereeing. There was the opportunity to change the landscape of refereeing in Scotland a couple of years ago, and it wasn't taken. And we're now in a situation where we now see these. I mean, how often do we come on podcasts on a weekly basis or a couple of days, every couple of days, and we're talking about the same thing over and over and over again? This isn't going away. We're going to get more contentious decisions. It's not just solely down to Rangers. It's whoever's in that league. I mean, you've seen the red cards for Motherwell against Aberdeen the other night. The first one was appalling. I have no idea how that even comes about. They're just poor referees, and the players and the fans deserve a hell of a lot better than what's on offer to them. They're going out and they're busting their backside to try and win these games. And that decision yesterday to stop the game and give a bounce ball to Livingston, not only did it take the opportunity for Rangers to have a free kick and a penalty away, it also killed the momentum for Rangers, and the game just fizzled out after that. It just died. There wasn't any opportunity for Rangers to really get back into it again, and it killed the game completely. It staggers me. I've been watching football for a really long time, and I'm struggling to think of a worse refereeing decision that I'd seen than that yesterday. But as Frankie rightly says, we shouldn't be waiting to the 89th minute or the 90th minute to be able to put teams like Livingston to bed. It should be done and dusted, creating 31 chances and only getting your first goal in 80 minutes when they've been down to 10 men for 20 minutes. It's nowhere near good enough. It's glossing over the problems that they've clearly got. But it was a shocking bit of refereeing, and the sad thing is they won't ever be held accountable for it. That's the thing.
No. We'll hear how it was within the correct rules, and his eye line was blocked and whatever it was going to be this time. But yeah, look, for what it's worth, I think the referee obviously was in a position that he felt he couldn't make that decision. I mean, the problem is when you see it back, and I think the referee should have been given the opportunity to re-see it. I think that would have maybe changed things and maybe allowed him to make the decision correctly. Maybe that was the right call here, because when you see it, even if the defender had have touched the ball, it was an aggressive tackle, and it was a tackle coming from the behind and from the side that was a dangerous tackle. So even if he touches the ball, it's still a foul and should have been a foul. Frankie, I'm keen to get your thoughts on what Rangers should do here as a correct and appropriate response to that refereeing decision.
That's a toughie, because I don't want us to see like crybabies and right. Here's the default: if Rangers think they need to make a complaint, make it. You've kind of not caught me out. Listen, do you know what? Let's move on. We didn't take the bull by the horns, and it was 18, whatever, 9th minute, whatever it was. I can't answer that. That's as simple as that. My answer, because I'm thinking like my old man, we should have scored other goals. Just get on with it and move on. And I know 90% of the people disagree with what I've said there, but that's. I can't say anything other than that. Listen, what's done is done, and
But to counteract that, we know across the city they lobby. They literally lobby to get to hype the pressure up. Right. They pull the right levers to create a narrative. Which don't get me wrong. There's people within our fan base that do it, but Scott, I saw you had your hand up there, so I'll come to you. But are we not? Are we not causing are we being daft here by lying down and taking this when it could be a decision that influences the outcome of this title?
Well, you've kind of taken the words out of my mouth, to be honest with you, because it's how many times have we seen in the past the lead up to an Old Firm game, and there's been a sort of contentious decision going against them for the East End, and that entire week running up to the Old Firm game, it is a media frenzy of Celtic causing an absolute ruckus because everyone's out to get them. And we don't do that. We seem to be, it's like almost an honourable thing that we're trying to do. Right, you know what, lads, it's no went for us. We're going to dust ourselves up. We're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to get ourselves on with it. They need to make a bit of a song and a dancing about it. I mean, see, if it wasn't for the Celtic game coming up at the weekend, I'd probably go, right, well, you know what, Rangers maybe need to go about things a bit quietly, because at the end of the day, nothing's going to change. It's not as if we're going to go back to Livingston and replay the last 5 minutes of injury time or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. But they need to demand answers to this, even if it's a case where they're given the free kick instead of a penalty. If they think it should be a penalty, they need to be looking to try and find out the audio for this and try and get an idea of what's actually being said, for the referee to come to the decision that, do you know what, it's neither a free kick nor a penalty, it's a drop ball 60 yards away. Yeah. Craig,
keen to get your thoughts on this. I mean, is this symptomatic of a failing system, I guess, in Scotland? Is this just another incident? I mean, this weekend has been atrocious, really, hasn't it, for refereeing in Scotland? Yeah. It's ruining what has been a fantastic product this year in Scotland.
Yeah, the St Mirren Motherwell red card.
Yeah, horrific.
Just horrendous. He's nowhere near making contact with him. No, look, this is the referee. I've got my referee spiel that I give every time we talk about referees. Scotland is the most Grade 1 referees in Europe, and I think that they've went for a quantity over quality situation where they're pushing these referees through the grades. They're still sitting exams and things, but they're pushing them through the grades far too quickly, in my opinion. The referee from Livingston Rangers, I believe it's his first year as a Premiership referee. Even if you don't want to look at the tackle Mikey Moore, there was loads of incidents yesterday, just small incidents, like things being given as goal kicks. They should have been corners and fouls going the wrong way and little things like that. They're just not ready for the top levels of the Scottish game. It's just they're just not good enough, and the level of the standard of refereeing has been falling in Scotland for a good few years. And the only way you're going to fix it, it's not going to be one club complaining. It's going to be every club coming together and saying we need an independent review on how things are done. We need an independent review on these certain things. Every single time that Willie Collum has offered an apology to a club, there needs to be an independent review on why it's went wrong, how they've came to the wrong decision, and how they fix it. You can't just keep going on the way it's going. You can't keep going on the way it's going. But there is obviously the comment you've just brought up. You spend £40 million and you struggle to beat Livingston. You need to put the ball in the back of the net, and maybe you wouldn't be talking about this. But either way, poor decisions are poor decisions. They're still happening week in, week out. So it needs to be called out. And the only way you're going to get that is if clubs come together and call it out together. And I don't see that ever happening. I mean, we tried it a few years ago. If you remember, there was a few clubs coming together. Rangers, I think Aberdeen, like Hibs were in there, wanting to do this, and the other clubs didn't. Why? I don't know. It's strange why you wouldn't want something that's clearly failing not to be looked at.
Yeah, I agree. I think end of this season there needs to be an adult conversation about the betterment of the game, because yes, teams will benefit and lose on a week-by-week basis in terms of referee decisions going against you and for you, but you need to almost take a stance of it of the proportion of big decisions being made are incorrect, and that proportion is too high. And that's not about one team or another. That's about a binary. Is it right? Is it wrong? And if it's more wrong than there should be, then it needs to be called out. I take on board. Of course you can.
Have we got the skill set to replace them?
It's another question, isn't it?
These are the best we've got. That's the best we've got. You know what I mean? And the thing is with Rangers, we'll have lawyers, right? Remember what was his name? The previous chairman, he had to go to the Union Bears. Remember, right? Yeah. I'm going somewhere with this. He did go to the Union Bears for something, right?
Yeah.
Aye. And remember now, Rangers are now promoting Union Bears. Look, give us money for their tifos. That means Rangers will be looking at the referees and saying, can we get something here? And the lawyers that we've got behind the scenes are saying, no, we're not going to win this.
SFA has got £9 million for Scotland qualifying for the World Cup. Maybe they can do something with that.
No, I'm talking about Rangers. Rangers.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
You're right then. The SFA can counter us, right? Yeah. Listen, and I know I'm so against the grain. Let's move on. And it does balance out. We get loads of decisions for us. Let's not forget about that, gentlemen. Let's not.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, what's the alternative? You say there, Frankie, the best we've got. Do we strip it back to what football should be, which is, 11 players versus 11 with one adjudicator in the middle and their assistants? The decision is made on the pitch. That decision is final, and that's that. Is that a better alternative? Arguably so. You
use your FIFA license if you don't have them, don't you?
I don't know. I think there was a vote in England, wasn't there?
I think is it Finland have done it, but they keep VAR in one of their stupid cups so as they keep their FIFA place. I think somebody in the comments might be able to correct me on that, but I think that was a conversation I had in a pub the other night. It's you've got to have VAR or you don't get in European places.
Yeah, I think there was something in England where they said about. I think that they all voted, but Wolves were the only one to not vote, or something. That had a load of.
Yeah.
There was something wild about it. But look,
their VR's 10 times what ours is. Because they use AI, don't they? But it's a pube in your offside sort of thing,
Basically.
and Scotty's beard would be a nightmare to judge against.
Right, look, we're going to draw a line under this now and start thinking about in these last few minutes here what the rest of the season has in store. We're not going to have the time to go into the nth detail of every match and every fixture, but look, Scott, it'd be good to get your thoughts. We've got a reasonably robust team with options on the bench. That's something that we haven't had for a while. Talk me through where your head's at and what Rule needs to do between now and the end of the season to get this over the line.
It needs to fix the away form. The away form's becoming a real concern for me, to be honest with you. 3 draws in the last 3 away games is not the form that a Premiership winning team is. That is crucial. We've got a horrible trip coming up next month away to Falkirk, which I'm already not looking forward to. Weirdly enough, I'm kind of dreading that more than the back-to-back games against Celtic, mainly because they are both at Ibrox. But the away form for me is crucial. It needs to be fixed. I don't even care how the 3 points come anymore. It's just they are so important. Way after the split, that we know that we need to go to Parkhead, we know we need to go to Tynecastle, and we'll need to go to either Easter Road, Fir Park, or Falkirk again. Those games are far from a gimme, like yesterday should have been for Rangers, and it's something that Danny Rule needs to fix quickly. And as I said at the start of the pod, we've got a large squad, like you say, Ross. It's quite robust. There has to be a place where every man can be counted upon to do his job, because that's what he's there to do. And I know that a lot of the guys that are there maybe aren't exactly, well, they haven't exactly set the heather alight since they've been at the club, but it's their time. It's guys like Tello Asgard who have got a World Cup on the horizon, and his World Cup slot is going to be definitely questionable at the moment. I mean, he's nowhere near this Rangers starting 11. He's coming on for drips and drabs at the moment, but he's not that's not why we signed Tello Asgard. We need to be able to call on every single reserve or every single not reserve player, obviously, but every reserve that the squad has, and be able to pick up 3 points as best as we possibly can, and that starts with me with a away form.
Yeah, it's fair enough, Frankie. We've seen it time and time again. I'm going to give my personal opinion is give the benefit of the doubt at the weekend there, because I think that we did create enough, and we should have won that game. But what do you think we need to? What do you think we need to do between now and the end of the season to really get this over the line? Apart from just grinding out victories, what is it that we want to see?
Every player getting 80%, because since Danny's come in, we've not had a team of 11 on that pitch where everyone's been 80% and above. Even against Celtic, even against Hearts, there were still players were missing. We need everyone to produce 80% to 100% of their potential level. I mean, during 9 in a row, I saw. I mean, some users were there as well. You didn't get everyone playing at their 100% every week, but everyone was above 80%. There's games now where players are just missing, and I think who was at Parkhead, Asgard. The thing for me with Asgard is a football player that he'll go back to Scandinavia or France or Spain and be great. It just does not fit there. We just need, if that team plays at 80%, it doesn't matter what the 11 start is. We hump everyone, but we don't get everyone at 80%. The Hearts game was about the closest, but there were still players were. And as the lads have said, see, away games, we'll hump Celtic at the weekend. I'm telling you right now. But see, away games like Falkirk used to be a game we'd go out there and right, it's going to be not 7-0, but we will win. But it's not. It's the away games, and I'm sure the lads and the lassies will see in the comments. It's the away games. It's quite simple.
Have we got the players, Frankie? Have we got the actual steel, the metal to grind this out, and the mentality to get this over the line, in your personal opinion?
Yes. Parkhead, Hearts.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's just getting it off, clicking at the one time. Going to Parkhead and doing that to them at Parkhead was unbelievable. That was fantastic. I know that lot aren't that good right now, but it was at Parkhead. And look at that first half. We were crap. And then whatever Danny said at half-time, I would have loved to hear what he was said at half-time. It was magical what happened that second half. But Chermiti, the one I just watched. I was going to say strangling, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. He's done it against Hearts. He's done it against Celtic. Then yesterday, you're like, big man, where are you? But the thing is, he's not a striker. He's a 10 or a 9.5. Mm-hmm. We just need see if Chermiti can get goals. Chermiti, and I'm not going to go at him because he's poor. If he can score goals away, we're winning. I guess that's kind of obvious thing to say, but it's just we have got the bottle, because the problem up to that Parkhead game was this. That was too heavy. Then they went, watch this.
Yeah. Is there something to be said, Frankie? And I'll come on to your opinion, Craig, in just one sec. But is there something to be said there, Frankie, about the fact that we didn't give up at the weekend? And yeah, look, it wasn't on a paper the best result, 2-2, but we stuck in, we hung in, we focused, and we locked in.
There was, somebody put that you right, just a quickie. Your stats guy is brilliant. Like, I don't do stats and all that, but every morning I go like that. What are they saying? What's the journal saying? So your stats guy is brilliant. That's just me from my page. But no, that was a great. They ground out that result at the weekend. It was something 29 shots on target, and people are saying, "Oh, our finishing was crap." No, it wasn't. It was the goalkeeper was out this world. That was unbelievable. We saw at the weekend. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Craig, look, good to get your thoughts. We've got 10 games left, still a lot of points. And actually, when Scott was talking through the games there and what the big matches are, there's going to be some momentous swings, momentous changes, and ultimately some big, results that we're going to need to grind out in these games. Yeah. Where do you think this league is won and lost for us?
It's hard to not say away games again. It's where they're struggling, and it's where they're going to have to change. It's quite frustrating because it's not a new thing. It is a new thing. This struggling away from home. Through November, December, away form was just as good as a home form. We were winning almost every game. But now we're starting to drop a few points. But yeah, it's going to be one. In the split, you're going to have, as we've already said, we've got three away games there. One of them is going to be at Parkhead. One of them is going to be at Tynecastle. One of them is going to be at one of the other three teams. But I don't think there isn't a team in the top six that aren't beatable. The best team, the best footballing team right now is Motherwell. Let's be honest, right? The best footballing team right now is Motherwell. We've not lost against Motherwell. We've won a game and drawn 2 against Motherwell, and the 2 draws were them coming back with last-minute goals. But so that you don't have any, you shouldn't have anything to fear. But I think the main thing, again, you just popped up on the screen is the formation. I said it at the beginning when we were talking about the Livingston game. Keep the 2 strikers. Do whatever else but keep the 2 strikers. I've said all year I think this Rangers team would benefit from having 2 strikers on the pitch. Mm-hmm. Keep 2 strikers on the pitch. Have 2 strikers on the pitch at all time. Mm. It's the best way that we're going to go forward and score goals. And they've shown it. They've shown it because the difference between I know it's only Queen's Park, but the Queen's Park game, you still go out and score 8. No one really expected us to go out and score 8, even though everyone expected us to win the game. You've went and beaten Hearts with it, and we'd failed to beat Hearts twice. And I've got every confidence if we play that formation, we'll beat Celtic 2 times. But play 2 strikers. Every game, play 2 strikers.
Yeah, it's something we've been crying out for years. Anyone that's been, and we've done it on this pod for years as well, we've been saying when you're playing at home and, you've got the quality that we've got in the final third, you can sacrifice one of the 3 midfielders in the center of midfield and play a second striker. It's been a common theme. Look, time is marching on. We've got a huge game at the weekend. That would do us a fantastic stroke there if we can get this one over the line at the weekend, take the points off them, really punch them when they're down, and then roll into a cup game. It would do us brilliantly going into the split as well. So let's hope that Rule gets the best out of him at the weekend. We'll be going through loads of build up to that game through the course of the week. So do make sure you are here at the Rangers Journal. Craig and Scott, thank you so much for joining us. Frankie, I don't know if you want to give a wee shout out to your page and your pod.
Yeah, no, I'm just happy to be brought on here, but you guys always like talking to you. I'm
good man.
People,
you're welcome on. You're welcome on again, so we'll get you on soon.
2:21 here. I'm going to go through the room and draw a penis on my wife's head while she's asleep. Thank God, fart on the dog.
Nice, yeah, good, love that. Right, anyway, moving on. Look, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It's been therapeutic. Thanks again to Doug for the slide, and remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night.